The inner critic's biggest lie. It's not trying to protect you, it's trying to keep you small. You know that moment you're about to hit publish, raise your hand, or ask for what you actually want, and a voice snaps, "Don't, you'll blow it." Your chest tightens, your thumb opens Instagram, and suddenly organizing your desk feels urgent. Here, the reframe nobody teaches. Your inner critic isn't protecting you from failure, it's protecting you from visibility. Today I'll show you a quick, 3-step dialogue that turns that critic into a clumsy bodyguard you can coach. You'll use it in the next 5 minutes. Fast fact, for most of human history, standing out was risky. Your brain still acts like it is. Let's get you a win right now. We'll do a 3-step reframe you can run in under a minute whenever that voice spikes. It's simple: identify, translate, redirect. Think of it like judo for self-talk. Use the same force, but steer it somewhere useful. Step 1, identify the fear underneath the words. Don't argue with the sentence. Listen for the social risk it's trying to flag: rejection, status loss, exposure, loss of control. If you remember nothing else, remember this: most harsh thoughts are just visibility alarms. So if your mind says, "This will suck," ask, "What exposure are you warning me about?" Often it's, "I'm worried they'll judge me," or, "If I post, real people can see." Step 2, translate the jab into a clumsy safety request. The critic is terrible at tone, but pretty good at sensing risk. Take the sting out by rewriting the line as a protective ask. "You're not good enough" becomes, "Please don't let us look foolish, test this first." "Don't charge that rate" becomes, "Make sure it's fair and won't get backlash." The thing most people miss is that debating the critic just makes it louder. Translating it makes it calmer, fast. Step 3, redirect the energy into a low-risk action that honors safety while moving you forward. Safety plus motion beats stuck every time. Pick the smallest step that reduces exposure just 1 ring while keeping momentum. Examples: "This will suck," right arrow. "You want me safe," right arrow. "Ship the draft to one trusted peer." "They'll tear this apart," right arrow. "You want proof first," right arrow. Record a 60-second test and send it to 3 friendly viewers. "Don't raise your prices," right arrow. Validate value, right arrow. Pilot the new rate with 1 returning client. Here's a quick run-through with you. Bring to mind a real task you've delayed that involves being seen: an email, a post, a pitch. Hear the critic's exact line. Now identify the social risk under it: rejection, status loss, exposure. Good. Translate that jab into a safety ask in 1 sentence. Now, set a micro action that honors safety and moves 1 inch forward. If your body feels even 5% calmer, you did it right. Common mistakes to avoid: arguing with the critic. You don't win debates, you just lose time and energy. Vague affirmations. "I'm amazing" won't soothe a visibility alarm. Specific plans do. Trying to delete the voice. Suppressing alarms triggers bigger alarms. We're partnering, not muting. Let me give you 4 rapid mini-stories so you can feel the pattern. Creative context: a designer kept polishing a carousel for a week. Critic: it's not original. Identify, exposure risk to peers. Translate, test freshness privately. Redirect, DM 3 designers for a blind rating. Outcome, 2 yeses, 1 tweak, posted in 30 minutes. Career context: mid-level manager hesitates to present. Critic: you'll ramble. Identify, status loss via fumbling. Translate, keep structure tight. Redirect, build a 3-bullet outline and practice once on voice memo. Delivered confidently, got follow-ups. Social context: posting a contrarian take. Critic: people will attack you. Identify, rejection risk. Translate, clarify tone and audience. Redirect, post inside a small, values-aligned group first. Feedback was engaged, then shared publicly. Money context: raising rates. Critic: they'll leave. Identify, loss of belonging. Translate, provide context and choice. Redirect, email clients with a simple value summary and early renewal option. Most stayed, 1 left, and that's data. Quick checkpoint: repeat the 3 steps out loud right now with your task. Identify, I'm afraid of exposure. Translate, please test in private first. Redirect, send to 1 trusted person by 3 p.m. Say it, then move. A plan that lives in your mouth tends to reach your calendar. Why this works: you reduce perceived threat, increase agency, and preserve momentum. Your nervous system learns we can be visible and safe in small doses. Each rep records new evidence. Over a week, you won't eliminate the voice, you'll retrain its job. It stops driving and starts spotting potholes. Do this today, pick one stalled task, run the 3 steps, and ship one micro slice. Then jot down what the critic predicted versus what actually happened. That's your first proof that the alarm isn't truth, it's just a signal that needs a better route. The lie exposed, what the inner critic claims vs what it does. Let's pull the mask off this voice. On the surface, the inner critic sounds responsible. It claims, "I'm protecting you from failure and embarrassment." It positions itself as your last line of defense against public humiliation, bad decisions, and painful mistakes. It says it's saving your reputation, your relationships, your job. It says, "Trust me, I'll keep you safe." But watch its timing and you'll see the tell. The warnings don't spike during low-stakes practice. They hit right before visibility moments, when you're about to publish, ask, present, lead, pitch, or charge. If you've ever noticed your neatest handwriting, your tidiest inbox, or your sudden urge to double-check one more thing in the 5 minutes before pressing send, that's not risk management, that's an exposure alarm. The thing most people miss is that the critic rarely blocks learning. It blocks being seen learning. So here's the reality. The critic isn't protecting you from failure. It's protecting your status and belonging by keeping you small and invisible. In human history, standing out could invite rejection from the group, and rejection could feel like danger. Your brain still treats social risk like physical risk. False positives, seeing danger where there isn't any, were safer than false negatives. Therefore, your critic would rather call 1,000 false alarms than let you step into the light once. What's the trade-off? Short-term safety, long-term regret. In the moment, you feel a flicker of relief. You delayed the post, skipped the raise ask, softened your opinion. Your nervous system gets its hit of phew. But zoom out. A week later, your draft is still in the folder. A month later, your manager still doesn't know your ambitions. 6 months later, your audience has no idea who you are. The pattern compounds. Less shipping, fewer reps, slower skill acquisition, stagnant identity. The hidden cost is brutal. "I'm not the person who finishes" becomes a quiet belief. That identity erosion hurts more than any comment section. Let me show you a micro story. A client sat on a product launch for 6 months. The critic's lines were classic. "It's not ready, the niche will laugh, you'll burn your reputation." We ran the reframe, translated the jabs into safety asks, and shipped a pilot to a tiny audience, 15 people who'd opted in. Zero backlash, useful feedback. Week 2 widened to 50. By week 4, public, not viral visible. That mattered. The critic hadn't been predicting truth. It had been ringing the visibility alarm at max volume. So here's the rule of thumb I want you to adopt. If the voice is blocking exposure, label it visibility alarm, not truth. Don't treat alarms like verdicts. Treat them like signals to design safer paths. Once you label it correctly, your options multiply. Publish to everyone becomes publish to a ring where learning is cheap. Now, why does this voice sound so convincing? Because it speaks in certainty. It mind reads, "They'll hate this," and catastrophizes, "This will ruin everything," with a confidence your calmer, slower brain can't match in the moment. Under threat, the amygdala's job is to get you out of danger fast, not to get it right with nuance. So it overscans for shame and chooses the move that guarantees immediate relief. Delay, hide, shrink. That relief trains the system. Avoidance becomes policy. Once you see the pattern, you can make the better trade. Small, structured exposure now, compounding confidence later. Instead of arguing with the critic's content, interrogate its target. Ask, are you blocking quality or visibility? If it's quality, great. Use the signal to tighten scope or test in private. If it's visibility, design the rung you'll stand on. Private right arrow, trusted circle right arrow, small public right arrow, broad public. You don't need to leap, you need to ladder. There's another layer to expose. The critic claims it's on your side, but listen to the collateral damage. It burns time, drains energy, and kills momentum. It leaves you with half-finished drafts, missed windows, and almost. It bullies you into prep that never becomes performance. And when you finally do ship, it steals the win by shifting the bar. Sure, but not as good as X. It's not only guarding belonging, it's also defending an outdated self-image, the you who isn't visible yet. Success forces an identity update. The critic resists that upgrade because more eyes mean more alarms, so it keeps you as the person who almost. Now here, S where the reframe flips everything. Once you see the critic as a clumsy bodyguard for status and belonging, you can assign it the correct job, hazard signaler, not steering wheel. You get to ring the bell when exposure spikes. I choose the route. That one boundary changes your relationship with fear. Fear becomes input, not instruction. Before we move on, do a 30-second scan. Think of one moment this week where the critic got loud right before exposure. Label it visibility alarm. Ask what short-term safety you traded for long-term regret. Now pick the smallest ring where you can be seen with safeguards. When you act from that place, you don't just beat the critic, you retrain it to alert without arrest. And that's the difference between a life of rehearsals and a life of reps. The evolutionary route, social safety is greater than personal growth. Before we talk tactics, you need the why your body overreacts to being seen. For most of human history, belonging wasn't nice to have. It was food, fire, and protection. Exile meant fewer hands at the fire, fewer eyes spotting danger, fewer allies when resources ran thin. Your nervous system learned a simple rule: connection equals survival. Lose the group and things get risky fast. That wiring didn't vanish because we got Wi-Fi. The brain still treats social risk like physical risk. That tight chest before you post, the dread before you present, the impulse to hide after a critical comment, that's your survival hardware firing. False alarms were cheaper than missed threats on the savannah, so your system evolved a bias toward false positives. Better to think the rustle is a predator than to ignore actual danger. Translate that to today: better to assume they'll judge me and hold back than to chance an exposure that could trigger rejection. Overprotection was adaptive. Hear why the critic sounds so cert. Under perceived threat, the amygdala rings the alarm and your prefrontal cortex, your reasoning, nuanced, future planning part, takes a step back. The body prioritizes speed over accuracy. That's not a character flaw, it's a design feature. The inner critic borrows that alarm energy and speaks in absolutes because nuance is slow. They'll hate it lands faster than some people might not prefer this. Under threat, fast wins. Now layer in a modern mismatch. Our ancestors navigated small bands where visibility meant every eye in the tribe. Today, platforms amplify that to thousands. Your brain doesn't know the difference between a camp circle and the internet. It sees attention, hears potential disapproval, and assumes danger level red. Meanwhile, the actual consequences of most visibility today are rarely lethal. They're dented pride, awkwardness, or a learning curve. But your nervous system isn't grading on modern context. It's grading on ancient rules. This also explains why the warnings spike right before exposure moments. Visibility is the point of greatest perceived danger to belonging. Publishing, asking, presenting, charging, each one could invite judgment. So the critic, trying to preserve status and connection, floods you with worst-case futures to keep you from stepping into the light. It's running a conservation plan for belonging, even if that plan costs you growth. You might be thinking, but what about high achievers? Aren't we past this? High achievers often learned early to earn connection through performance. That wires an extra layer. Belonging depends on flawless output. Now visibility feels doubly risky, more eyes plus a higher standard. The critic isn't just avoiding rejection, it's protecting a fragile terms of belonging contract. Here's the upgrade. We're not trying to delete this survival bias. We're updating its rules to match reality. Replace don't stand out with safeguards. When you pre-design safe exposures, you give the amygdala concrete reasons to stand down. Small audience, clear boundaries, reversible steps, short time frames. Your body learns through evidence that you can be visible and safe. Let me ground this with a quick mental model. Think of your visibility ladder: private, trusted circle, small public, broad public. In ancestral terms, that's self, family, fire, village, market. Your system's job is to keep you from leaping from self to market with no protection. Our job is to use the rungs. That honors the survival wisdom while serving your growth. Why does this work so well? Because the threat system recalibrates based on outcomes. Each time you take a micro exposure and nothing bad happens, or something mildly uncomfortable happens and you recover, you generate data. The prefrontal cortex can then say, "We predicted disaster. We got feedback and a manageable repair, not lethal." Over time, the alarm still rings, but softer, shorter, less persuasive. You're not eliminating fear, you're shrinking its domain. There's one more nuance. The brain encodes social pain similarly to physical pain. That's why hurt feelings isn't a metaphor, it's a body event. If you've carried harsh criticism or unpredictable approval in your past, your system may be tuned even tighter. So be smart. Compassion isn't coddling here, it's calibration. You regulate first, then you climb the rung. So the point isn't to become fearless. The point is to become accurately afraid. Use fear as a signal to design safety, not an order to disappear. When you see the critic's urgency as ancestral, not authoritative, you stop waging war on yourself and start upgrading the playbook. Social safety first, personal growth next, by design, not by default. The shame mechanism, how the critic fuels the spiral. Before we go further, we need to name the engine that keeps this pattern running. Shame. Here's the loop you've probably lived many times. You approach a goal, draft, pitch, post. The visibility alarm fires. Your chest tightens, thoughts speed up, hands reach for low-friction relief. You avoid busy work, over-research, last-minute scramble, or a clean tomorrow. That's the first turn. Then shame arrives. You said you'd do it. You didn't. Maybe you're not the kind of person who follows through. That feeling isn't just a thought. It lands in the body, heat in your face, a drop in your stomach, a fog behind your eyes. And under shame, avoidance doubles. The loop begins again. Why does shame supercharge the critic? Because shame says, I'm not good, not that wasn't good. Shame makes the problem global and personal, so any action risks confirming a flaw. Better to stall than to risk proof. And because the alarm promised protection, the avoidance feels justified. Your system pairs delay with relief and relief with safety. That pairing trains the spiral. The thing most people miss is that shame loves ambiguity. When outcomes are unclear, your mind fills the gaps with worst-case stories. Vague tasks, undefined audiences, fuzzy deadlines, all oxygen for shame. That's why the critic pushes you toward hazy prep over specific exposure. Ambiguity keeps shame fed and your identity on trial. Let me map the common avoidance costumes so you can spot them faster. Busy work, endless formatting, color coding, cleaning the desk before the real work. Over-research, another podcast, another case study, another course instead of a rep. Perfection loops, tweaking microfont decisions while dodging feedback. Last-minute heroics, manufacturing emergencies to justify subpar output or a miss. Sudden fatigue, the body's protective break right before the ship moment. Each has a hidden goal, postpone the moment you'll know. If you never ask, you can't be turned down. If you never post, you can't be judged. If you wait until it's perfect, you never risk not enough. But here's the cost. Every avoidance choice deposits into the same account. I'm not the person who finishes. The identity erosion happens quietly. One day you realize you trust other people's opinions more than your own evidence because you have no evidence. You have drafts, not data. Let me give you a quick micro story. A writer I coached kept improving an article for weeks. The critic said, "You'll embarrass yourself." We translated it to, "Please don't let us feel exposed without support." Shame was thick because it stayed private. We cut ambiguity, defined the audience, set a ring, and a 24-hour window. She shipped to a small newsletter segment with a single sentence asking for one helpful edit. Replies were constructive. Her body learned, visible and safe can coexist. Shame shrank when clarity and small exposure entered the room. So how do you unwind the spiral? 3 moves: name, narrow, and normalize. Name, call the feeling shame when it's shame. Not laziness, not no willpower. Shame, when you can say, "I'm in a shame spike," you stop moralizing and start resourcing. Language matters, it moves the experience from identity to state. Narrow, remove ambiguity. Define the smallest observable outcome and the exact ring. Draft for an hour becomes write 150 words and send to Jamie by 2 p.m. Work on deck becomes outline 3 slides, problem, stakes, next step, and read it out loud once. Clarity reduces the mind's room to invent punishments. Normalize, expect the alarm, plan for it. Script the critic's line in advance and pre-write your translation and redirect. When the thought, "This will ruin everything," shows up, I'll say, "Thanks for flagging risk. We're testing in private." Then send the 60-second sample. Anticipation turns surprise into routine. A practical checkpoint you can do right now. Ask, what visibility moment am I avoiding today? Answer with a verb and a ring. Then write the critic's exact sentence, translate it into a safety ask, and set a micro-exposure with a clock and a person. Bonus points: text the plan to someone. Social commitment replaces shame secrecy with connection. Common traps as you start. Treating the critic as an enemy, fighting it escalates the body. Partnering calms it. Overcorrecting with bravado. Leaping rungs can re-traumatize the system and confirm the critic's worst stories. Skipping the debrief. Without comparing prediction to reality, the nervous system can't recalibrate. No evidence, no rewiring. Here's the belief I want you to adopt. Shame can't survive evidence plus empathy. Evidence comes from small, visible actions with feedback. Empathy comes from how you self-talk when the alarm rings. Of course this feels edgy. Visibility used to be risky. We'll do the next right inch. That tone preserves dignity while you move. One last micro-story to cement this. A developer avoided asking for a scope change. Critic, they'll think you're incompetent. We named the shame, narrowed the request, and normalized alarm by rehearsing the sentence once. He asked, client agreed, and even thanked him for raising it early. The critic predicted exile. The outcome was trust. That discrepancy is fuel. Collect enough of those, and the spiral starts spinning the other way. Momentum returns, not because you silenced the voice, but because you taught it a better job. The 3 sabotage patterns high achievers miss. Now here's where a lot of driven people get trapped without realizing it. Once the critic is framed as a visibility alarm, 3 patterns show up again and again, especially in people who pride themselves on high standards. These patterns look productive on the surface, but they all serve the same function: delay exposure. Pattern 1, prestige procrastination. This is stacking credentials, courses, certifications, and prep phases to avoid shipping. It sounds noble, leveling up, but the invisible clause is so I don't have to be seen learning in public. The thing most people miss is the moving finish line. Once you get the certificate, a new prep step appears. The critic whispers, one more credential and you'll be safe, and you buy temporary relief at the cost of momentum. The symptom list is obvious in hindsight. Bookmarked masterclasses, a calendar full of research, perfect note systems, and no reps in the wild. The antidote isn't to stop learning, it's to tie learning to ladders. Every new skill must ship 1 ring outward within 7 days. If it doesn't, it's not learning, it's postponement. Pattern 2, perfection as camouflage. Infinite polishing keeps you invisible because still improving looks respectable. The critic says, make it bulletproof and you won't be judged. Underneath is a simple bargain, no flaws, no shame. The tell is micro-tweaks with diminishing returns, fonts, spacing, color shades, right when a share button is in reach. The trap is that you're optimizing a guess in a vacuum. Clarity only arrives through contact. Here's the shortcut nobody teaches. Apply the 80% rule, stop at useful and honest, and ship to the next ring with a single question attached. What's one thing that would make this more useful? Perfection's power dissolves in the presence of feedback. It can't outrun reality checks. Pattern 3, success anxiety. This one hides under sophistication. It isn't fear of failing, it's fear of succeeding, more eyes, more expectations, more plate spinning, less control. High achievers feel this spike because they've built an identity on reliability. Visibility threatens to add obligations they didn't consent to. The critic warns, if this works, you'll lose freedom. The signs, you downplay wins, delay follow-ups, and keep projects small by design. The antidote is to predefine success boundaries before you ship. Write the upper limit of what you'll accept if it takes off, office hours, response windows, version cadence, waitlist rules. When your nervous system sees guardrails, it stops equating success with overwhelm. How do you spot these patterns in real time? Look for the telltale signs, moving goalposts, after I finish X then I'll share, endless prep cycles that never produce a published date, and that sudden wave of fatigue right before launch. Notice the language. It's not the right time. I just need to refine the framework. Let me get one more perspective. All 3 translate to not yet, visibility feels risky. Once you spot them, the antidote framing is simple, ship to scale. Exposure in controlled layers breaks all 3 patterns without shocking the system. For prestige procrastination, attach every credential to a tiny deliverable. By Friday, share a 90-second demo to my trusted circle. For perfection as camouflage, set a 1-iteration constraint. 1 revision, then send to 5 friendly users. For success anxiety, define the expansion plan and ceiling in writing. If interest exceeds 20 replies, activate a waitlist and weekly batch responses. You're telling your body, we'll expand safely on purpose. Let me give you quick micro stories for each so you can feel the shift. Prestige procrastination. A consultant collected 3 certifications and still hadn't published a case study. We tied the 4th course to a ladder. Within 7 days, record a 2-minute breakdown for a private Slack group, ask 1 question, and schedule a public version for next week. Result: 3 leads from the private post, clarity on what the public one needed, and momentum replaced the urge for course number 5. Perfection as camouflage. A filmmaker sat on a short for 2 months. We invoked the 80% rule and a 1 iteration limit. She exported, screened it to 5 peers with 1 prompt. What lost you? She fixed a single beat and posted to a small festival forum. No viral moment better. She got targeted feedback and 2 invites to collaborate. Camouflage quits when curiosity enters. Success anxiety. An engineer feared launching a tool that might blow up and wreck his calendar. He wrote success boundaries first, a weekly changelog, a public roadmap, and a feature freeze threshold. He launched to 50 beta users with clear expectations. The tool grew to 300 signups in a month, and the structure held. Success happened inside his lines, not outside his life. One last move to cement this: write which pattern grabs you most. Under it, set your default constraint. 7-day shipping rule, 1 iteration rule, or success ceiling rule. Then add this sentence: I ship to scale. Because when exposure grows in layers, your identity grows with it, and the critic learns to come along for the ride. The reprogramming framework overview. You've seen the fast win and the 3 traps. Now we'll put the whole system in your hands. The goal here is simple: shift your operating system from do to do safely, then expand. When you feel that visibility alarm, you won't argue with it or obey it. You'll route it through a predictable framework that keeps you moving and your nervous system calm. There are 5 components we'll cycle every time: detection, dialogue, design, delivery, debrief. Think of them as 5 Ds that turn fear into forward motion. Each one reduces perceived threat, increases agency, and preserves momentum, exactly what your system needs to rewire. Detection is where the win actually starts. If you catch the alarm early, tight chest, urge to tidy, absolutist thoughts, you stay resourceful. Your only job is to say, alarm. That single label stops moralizing and turns the moment into a process. Later, I'll show you how to make an alarm card with your top tells and default responses so you don't improvise under stress. Dialogue is the translator. We already practiced identify, translate, redirect for quick relief. Here we expand it by setting boundaries. The critic gets a role, hazard signaler, not the wheel. You'll use a 1-line opener: thanks for trying to keep me safe. What's the actual risk? Then rephrase the jab as a clumsy safety ask. Finally, you state the boundary. You get to signal danger: I choose the route. This tone matters. It acknowledges protection without ceding control. Design is where you engineer the safe path. The principle is non-negotiable. Shrink the exposure, not the ambition. You'll select a tactic: smaller batch, friend review, opt-in audience, pilot group, time box, and match it to a visibility ring: private, trusted circle, small public, broad public. Then you anchor it with a constraint: the 80% rule and a single iteration before shipping. Design is where perfection loses oxygen because decisions happen before adrenaline. Delivery is the ship moment handled like an athlete, not a gambler. You'll ladder exposure: private share, 5 trusted, small public, broad public, each with a simple safe send, ritual, breath, timer, press, walk away, log it. You'll script your 1-line caption in advance because clarity beats cleverness under stress. And you'll celebrate exposure, not outcome, count reps, not likes, so your body links visibility with completion, not evaluation. Debrief is where the rewiring locks in. You ask 5 quick questions: what did the critic predict? What actually happened? What did I learn? What's one improvement? Which ring is next? Then you enter it in your win ledger: exposure, response, next step, so evidence accrues outside your head. Without this compare and contrast, the nervous system keeps believing its old horror trailer. With it, alarms soften and short. A quick mental model ties it together: the ladder of visibility. 4 rings: private, trusted circle, small public, broad public, plus a dashboard with 3 metrics. reps per ring, time to ship, prediction versus outcome gap. No skipping rings under spike. Aim for weekly ring expansion, not leaps. The scoreboard is progress, not performance. Let me walk you through a single loop. You feel the urge to check email instead of posting. Detection? Alarm, dialogue. You're warning me about exposure, you want proof first. Design, record a 60-second draft, send to 2 trusted peers with 1 question. Delivery, breathe, press, log. Debrief, they like the clarity, suggested a tighter hook, next ring tomorrow. That's 1 clean cycle. 10 of those change how your body reads visibility. 2 promises. First, each component comes with prompts and examples you can copy-paste into your day. Second, you'll never need more than 15 minutes to run a loop. Short cycles compound. Once those are in place, we'll start at the top, detection, so you can catch the alarm before it drives. Component 1, detection, spot the visibility alarm early. This part is simple and powerful. Catch the alarm before it drives. When you notice it early, you keep your options. Miss it, and you're already tidying a drawer and convincing yourself you're being productive. Detection starts in the body, continues in the mind, and finishes with context. We'll build all 3 so you can say 1 word, alarm, and stay in the pocket. First, body tells. Your nervous system speaks with sensations before it speaks in sentences. The common ones: a quick dread spike right under the sternum, chest tightness, shallow breath, jaw grip, a heat flash in your face, or that weird hollow feeling in your stomach. Sometimes it's energy misdirected, a sudden urge to stand, pace, stretch, or get water. Other times it's freeze. Shoulders rise, shoulders lock, hands go cold. These signals usually show up 30-90 seconds before you open Instagram or reformat a slide. If you remember nothing else, remember this. Your body says visibility before your brain explains it. Next, thought tells. Alarms dress up as certainty. Listen for absolutist language. This will flop. Everyone will hate it. You'll ruin everything. Mind reading shows up. They'll think you're arrogant. My manager will see right through me. Catastrophizing loves big stakes. 1 mistake and it's over. You'll also hear procrastination's polite voice. It's not the right time. Let's get 1 more opinion tomorrow when it's cleaner. These are not thoughtful assessments. They're fast, protective scripts. Label them, don't argue them. Now context tells. The alarm rarely fires at random. It clusters around tasks that publish, request, present, lead, ask, or charge. Scan your day. Anything that turns private work into exposure is a hotspot. Draft going public. Pitch moving from deck to room. Email leaving your outbox. Price entering a conversation. If a task moves you 1 ring outward, private to trusted, trusted to small public, small to broad, assume an alarm is likely. Pre-label it and you'll be ready when it pings. Here's the tool that ties this together, the alarm card. Take 1 index card or a note on your phone and list 2 columns, top tells and default responses. Under top tells, write your 3 strongest body signals and 3 thought patterns. For example, chest tight, urge to tidy, jaw clench, and everyone will hate it. Not the right time, 1 more tweak. Under default responses, write 3 actions you'll take automatically. Exhale 6 seconds x3, say alarm out loud, move task 1 ring inward and set a 5-minute timer. This is your pre-commitment. Under stress, you execute, you don't improvise. Quick practice, grab today's list. Scan for exposure tasks. Mark them with a small dot or an asterisk. Now read each and whisper, alarm likely. When you name it in advance, the first body pang becomes a cue, not a crisis. You're telling your system, this sensation belongs here. That alone lowers the spike. When the alarm hits, run a 20-second micro protocol. Step 1, pause your hands. Literally stop typing or tapping. Step 2, exhale long 6 seconds out, 4 in, 3 rounds. Long exhales, flip your brake pedal. Step 3, say alarm out loud. A single word moves you from story to state. Step 4, decide the ring. Do you keep it at the current ring and proceed, or step 1, ring inward for a quick proof? Default to 1 ring inward when the spike is above a 7 out of 10. Otherwise, stay and move. Common mistakes here: ignoring body cues and only listening when the thoughts get loud, moralizing the alarm as weakness, and trying to positive think your way through adrenaline. You regulate first, you reason after. Let me give you 4 tiny examples so you can feel it. Designer opens Figma to export a final, jaw clamps. She pauses hands, exhales, says, alarm, records a 30-second scroll and sends it to a trusted peer before export. Manager about to click send on a team proposal, dread spike. He whispers, alarm, reads the opener aloud once, then ships. Creator staring at a publish button, urge to tidy the kitchen. She says, alarm, moves to a private story post asking one question, sets a 10-minute window, then schedules the public post tomorrow. Freelancer about to quote mind says they'll leave. He says, alarm, writes the number, breathes, and adds 2 options with context. You'll know detection is working when you start catching the alarm earlier and the drop from spike to baseline speeds up. Track 2 tiny metrics for a week on your card. Alarm caught, body or thought, and time to move after alarm. Shortening those wins you time, composure, and reps. One last piece, pre-label your day. Morning, pick one exposure task and write. Alarm likely at moment. Body QL watch, X, default response, Y. Then, when it pings, you're not surprised, you're executing your plan. That's how you turn a siren into a signal. Component 2, dialogue, turn the critic into a clumsy bodyguard. Okay, now that you can spot the alarm, let's give it a job. The goal here isn't to argue with the critic or excommunicate it. We're going to turn it into a clumsy bodyguard that signals hazard while you choose the route. Start with an opener that lowers the spike. Say, thanks for trying to keep me safe. What's the actual risk? That sentence matters. It acknowledges intent and switches you from story to specifics. The critic goes from this will ruin everything to I'm worried about looking unprepared in front of the team. Great, we can work with that. Next, translate the jab into a safety ask. This takes 10 seconds and strips out the sting. Examples. You're not good enough, right arrow. Please don't let us feel foolish. Test this first. They'll tear this apart, right arrow. Get proof points before going wide. Don't raise your prices, right arrow. Make sure clients understand the value. Now set the boundary, speak it out loud. You get to signal danger, I choose the route. That's the contract. The critic rings the bell, you drive. Let me show you 4 quick scripts across different contexts so you can feel the rhythm. Creative, you're about to post a video. Critic, no one wants this. You, thanks for flagging risk. Actual risk? Critic, translated, low engagement will feel like rejection. You, safety ask heard, get signal in private first. Route, 60-second clip to 3 peers, ask one question, then schedule the post. Career, you're pitching a new process. Critic, they'll think you're overstepping. You, thanks for trying to keep me safe. What's the actual risk? Critic, translated, status loss if it lands as prescriptive. You, safety ask noted, invite collaboration. Route, propose as a draft, ask for edits, keep decision rights clear. Social, you're sharing a strong opinion. Critic, people will attack you. You, what's the actual risk? Critic, translated, public pile on from the wrong audience. You, safety ask accepted, aim accurately. Route, post to the niche group first, frame the intent, then broaden with context. Money, you're increasing rates. Critic, they'll leave. You, actual risk? Critic, translated, loss of belonging if clients feel blindsided. You, safety ask heard, communicate early and give options. Route, value summary, notice period, early renewal. There's a trap to avoid here, debating facts. Don't try to convince the critic that everything will be fine. Under alarm, it doesn't care about fine. It cares about exits. Acknowledge, translate, route, that's it. Use this mini template verbatim when you're spiking. Open, thanks for trying to keep me safe. What's the actual risk? Translate, jab right arrow safety ask. Boundary, you signal I steer. Route will do small protective step, then visible step by time. Let's run a live 30-second drill. Grab the task you marked earlier. Say the opener out loud. Name the actual risk in one clause. Translate the jab to a safety ask. Now choose a route that lowers exposure 1 ring, private test, trusted review, or small public. Give it a clock. Say the boundary. Done. Why this works? Tone plus structure. The opener reduces threat. Translation preserves the signal and removes the shame. The boundary restores agency. The route converts alarm energy into motion. Your nervous system stops bracing and starts doing. Here are a few clumsy bodyguard lines you'll hear and their quick translations so you can build reflexes. It has to be perfect. Right arrow, close obvious gaps before feedback. You'll ramble, right arrow, use a simple structure. Problem, stakes, next step. You're behind, right arrow, scope smaller so you can ship today. They'll misunderstand, right arrow, add one sentence of context at the top. When intensity is high, add office hours for the critic. Say, you can bring me concerns at 5 p.m. Outside those hours, I'll log them. It sounds silly. It works. You create a mental container so you can focus now and review later. If a thought repeats, write it on a sticky labeled 5 p.m. Your body relaxes when it trusts you'll return. Another useful move, name the critic. Give it a friendly, slightly ridiculous name, Safety Sam, and overprepare, Sir Doom. The humor valve drops the charge just enough to let you steer. Thank you, Safety Sam. Actual risk? Great, here's our route. Edge cases. If the critic starts looping on reputation, this will follow you forever. Bring receipts. Ask, how many times has that actually happened? Then design reversibility into the route. Post with an edit window, send a test to a subset, label it a draft, or add V1 to the title. Reversible steps signal not permanent, which lets the body proceed. One more drill to anchor this. Speak these lines with me, filling in your blanks. Thanks for trying to keep me safe. The actual risk is exposure outcome. That jab means, please safety ask. You signal, I steer. Route, protective step now, then visible step by time. Last point, the critic doesn't earn a vote with volume. It earns a listen by raising real risks. When it does, you'll thank it, translate it, and design for it. When it doesn't, you'll proceed, log, and debrief. Either way, you stay in motion. You'll know the dialogue is working when the lines get shorter, the spikes pass faster, and your ship rate rises. Keep the script handy. After 10 reps, you won't need it. The bodyguard will still ring the bell, just not grab the wheel. Design, engineer safe-to-ship paths. Now we turn the translation into engineering. Design is where you shrink the exposure, not the ambition. We're going to build safe-to-ship paths you can run on repeat, so I'll do it later turns into I know exactly how to ship this today. First, pick your ring. Remember the ladder: private, trusted circle, small public, broad public. Design always starts by asking, which ring lets me learn cheaply? If your alarm is a 7 or higher, step 1 ring inward. If it's a 4 to 6, stay where you are and narrow scope. Next, choose a tactic. You have 5 reliable levers. Smaller batch, reduce the surface area you're exposing. Friend review, add 1 human who is for you, not just familiar with you. Time box, limit work or feedback to a short window so it can't sprawl. Opt-in audience, only people who ask see it. That preserves dignity and signal quality. Pilot group, a tiny cohort who understands it's early and expects rough edges. Now set 2 constraints that make perfection impossible and momentum inevitable: the 80% rule and 1 iteration. Useful and honest at 80% plus exactly 1 pass before shipping to the next ring. You can improve after feedback, not before it. Let's build by context. Creative, goal, post a 2-minute tutorial. Ring, trusted circle. Tactics, smaller batch, friend review, time box. Design, outline 3 beats, hook, 1 technique, 1 example, record a rough cut in 15 minutes, send to 2 peers with 1 question. Where did you feel lost? Constraint, 1 edit pass, then schedule the public post for tomorrow. If the alarm spikes, insert an opt-in step. Post the clip in your close community first, labeled draft. Ask that same question. Career, goal, propose a new meeting format. Ring, small public team. Tactics, pilot group, time box. Design, draft a 1-page doc with a simple promise. Will reduce meeting time by 20% for a month. Invite 3 volunteers for a 2-week pilot. Measure attendance, decisions made, and post a readout. Constraint, 1 revision to the doc, then present the pilot plan in the next team sync. You're not selling perfection, you're selling an experiment with guardrails. Social, goal, share a contrarian take. Ring, trusted circle, right arrow, small public. Tactics, opt-in audience, friend review. Design, write 3 bullet points, position, example, nuance, post privately to a values-aligned group with curious for pushback. Collect 2 clarifying questions, then publish publicly with those 2 clarifications baked in. Constraint, 1 word level edit only, no restructuring. Money, goal, raise rates. Ring, private right arrow, trusted clients. Tactics, smaller batch, pilot group. Design, Craft a one-paragraph value recap, list 2 new inclusions, and offer early renewal at current rate to existing clients until a date. Constraint: send to 5 returning clients first. 1 edit passed to the template based on replies, then roll to the full list. Here's the checklist you'll use every time. Scope, ring, feedback channel, deadline. Scope: define the smallest observable slice that still teaches you something. Ring: choose the lowest rung that keeps dignity and delivers signal. Feedback channel: 1 person, 1 group, or 1 inbox, never whoever. Deadline: a clock on both making and deciding. Ship by 3 p.m., decide next ring by 5 p.m. A quick mini story to feel the difference. A PM needed stakeholder buy-in on a risky timeline. Old way: perfect a 20-slide deck, delay for polish, defend under fire. Design way: scope to a 1-pager, pilot the approach with 2 adjacent teams, measure a week, and present 3 data points and 2 options with a decision deadline. Stakeholders engaged because the ask was precise, reversible, and bounded in time. Common traps and fixes. Trap: designing 10 feedback steps. Fix: 1 reviewer per ring, feedback questions capped at 1. Trap: hiding behind opt-ins forever. Fix: schedule a ring jump on the calendar before you ask for any feedback. Trap: widening scope after compliments. Fix: lock scope in writing, improvement goes into version 2 after ship. When dread spikes mid-design, add reversibility. Label drafts V1, use platforms with edit windows, send to a subset, or create a sandbox link. The body relaxes when not permanent is visible. Run a live 60-second build with me. Name your task, pick a ring, choose 2 tactics. Set the 80% 1 iteration constraint. Write the single feedback question. Now put a clock on both the make and the ship. Slice by 2 p.m., send to name/group, ship next ring by 4 p.m., speak it out loud. That's your plan. 2 more examples to round this out. Research-heavy creator. Problem: drowning in sources, never publishing. Design: create a source fence, 3 references max per post, write a 200-word synthesis, send to 1 subject matter friend with the prompt, "What assumption did I miss?" 1 pass, then publish to small public. Founder with feature creep. Problem: demo keeps expanding. Design: cut to a 90-second, 1-job demo, pilot with 5 users from your waitlist, collect what was confusing. Only 1 iteration, then public demo day with a Q and A time box. You'll know design is working when decisions happen before adrenaline, your slices get smaller and clearer, and you can predict your next 2 rings while you're still in the current one. Remember, shrink exposure, not ambition. You're not lowering the bar, you're narrowing the doorway so you actually walk through it. Component 4, delivery, ship with micro-exposure. Design gave you a route. Delivery is you walking it, calm, deliberate, 1 rung at a time. Think ladder, not leap. Private share, 5 trusted, small public, broad public. Each step teaches you something cheap before you risk something costly. We'll make it rhythmic so your body knows what to do even when adrenaline wants to improvise. Start with the ladder approach. Private share is proof to self. A 60-second clip, a 1-pager, a rough mock. You're checking coherence, not perfection. Next rung, 5 trusted. Hand it to people who are for you and for the goal. Clarity beats closeness here. Then small public, a niche forum, a subset of your list, a beta channel, a team meeting. Finally, broad public, feed, launch list, full hands-on deck. If your alarm spikes above 7 at any rung, step back 1 ring and tighten scope. Don't quit the climb. Before each send, run your safe send ritual. It's 5 moves: breath, timer, press, walk away, log it. Breath, 3 long exhales, 6 out, 4 in to flip your brake pedal. Timer, set a 2-minute window, decisions shrink under a clock. Press, no countdown drama, click, then move your cursor to a neutral screen. Walk away, literally stand, get water, or touch a doorknob to reset context. Log it, 1 line in your ledger, what you shipped, ring, time, and your 1 learning question. The ritual keeps adrenaline from making up new rules at the finish line. Script your 1-line caption before you press anything. Under stress, cleverness collapses, clarity survives. Use this template, what it is, for whom, what to do next. Draft outline for the onboarding fix, product leads, what's 1 step you remove? Or 2-minute tip for new editors, watch, then comment the step you change. When you ask 1 specific thing, you shape the feedback and calm your nervous system. Vague asks invite judgment, Focused asks invite help. Now the 24-hour rule. After a visible ship, no edits for a day. Let reality arrive. Your body needs time to decouple exposure from emergency repair. If you must capture ideas, jot them in a V2 note. This boundary tells your system, publishing isn't a fire drill. When feedback lands, you'll evaluate it in debrief, not in fight or flight. Celebrate exposure, not outcome. Count reps, not likes. Each rung shipped gets a tick. Build a streak for days shipped or rings climbed, and reward yourself on the behavior, an evening ritual, a walk, a coffee. The reason is simple. What the critic notices, it repeats. If you only reward applause, the critic will chase applause. If you reward shipping, the critic learns that visibility equals completion, which equals safety. Let's ground this with 4 quick deliveries across contexts. Creator, you've recorded a tutorial. Private share, review your own 60-second preview to catch obvious stumbles. 5 trusted, send to 3 peers and 2 beginners with the caption, what felt unclear in the first minute? Safe send, press log. Small public tomorrow, post to your close community with that same question. Broad public Friday with 1 clarifying fix. Career, you've drafted a process change. Private, read the opener aloud, clarity check. 5 trusted, ping 2 adjacent teams and 3 skeptical friends with, what's one risk I missed? Small public, run a 2-week pilot with volunteers. Broad public, present a readout with 2 options and a decision deadline. Social, you've written a spicy take. Private, text the core sentence to a friend who values nuance. 5 trusted, share with 3 people in the niche group asking, which phrase invites misunderstanding? Small public, post in the niche forum with a curious for pushback frame. Broad public, publish with the top 2 clarifications included. Money, you're increasing rates. Private, say the number out loud, body check. 5 trusted, send the draft email to 2 clients you trust and 1 mentor asking, is the value clear? Small public, roll to 5 return clients with an early renewal option. Broad public, full list with boundaries and FAQs. Edge cases happen. If comments spike and your heart rate spikes with them, don't argue in real time. Acknowledge once, thanks for the feedback, collecting and will reply tomorrow, then step back. That keeps you out of reactivity and inside your 24-hour rule. If a send misfires, wrong attachment, typo, fix the factual error quickly, then resume the plan. Don't turn a small repair into a spiral. You'll know delivery is working when press feels boring, your captions get shorter, and your next rung is already on the calendar before feedback lands. 2 tiny metrics to track this week. Time from design complete to press, and rings climbed per task. Lower the first, increase the second. 1 final micro drill. Pick your current slice. Speak your 1-line caption. Exhale, set a 2-minute timer. Press, stand up, log it. If your body still buzzes, take 3 steps away from your chair. That's a rep. That's you teaching your critic, alarms can ring, we still move. Component 5, debrief, rewire with evidence. This is where you lock in the upgrade. Debrief turns every ship into data your nervous system can trust. Without it, the critic keeps its old horror trailer. With it, alarms soften, shorten, and stop steering. Start with 5 quick questions. Say them out loud or scribble them in 1 minute. What did the critic predict? What actually happened? What did I learn? What's 1 improvement? Which ring is next and when? Simple, concrete. Predictions versus outcomes is the core comparison that rewires threat. Your body needs to see you survived exposure, not just remember you pressed a button. Now build your win ledger. It's a single note or spreadsheet with 4 columns, date and slice, ring shipped, prediction versus reality, next ring, 1 line per rep. Keep it boring, boring is repeatable. You're creating a living record the prefrontal cortex can point to when the amygdala shouts danger. Over 2 weeks, the pattern becomes undeniable. Lots of alarms, few disasters, frequent learnings. Normalize mixed feedback. You're not collecting approval, you're collecting signal. Sort replies into 3 bins, keep clear wins, tweak 1 actionable fix, park opinions not aligned with your intent, then extract exactly 1 improvement. 1. Multiple fixes often collapse into perfection loops. Make the change, log it as V2, and move. Reassure the body explicitly. Say, we were visible and safe. That line matters. You're pairing exposure with safety on purpose. If something stung, add and we recovered. Recovery is safety too. Your system updates from outcomes and repairs. Set the next ring immediately. Debrief ends with a calendar tick, not a vibe. If today was trusted circle, schedule small public tomorrow. If today was small public, book broad public Friday. Momentum rests on decisions made while the state is calm. Let's run 3 quick debriefs so you can feel the flow. Creator, you shipped a 2-minute tip to your close community. Prediction, no one will care, comments will be snarky. Reality, 12 views, 3 likes, 1 thoughtful question. Learning, hook too soft, add the payoff sooner. 1 improvement, move the example to the first 15 seconds. Next ring, schedule the public post for tomorrow at noon. Career, you presented a pilot plan. Prediction, they'll think I'm overstepping. Reality, 2 clarifying questions, 1 suggestion to shorten the trial. Learning, frame the ask as reversible at the top. 1 improvement, add 2-week pilot, cancel anytime to slide 1. Next ring, share the 1-pager to the broader team on Thursday. Money, you rolled a rate increase to 5 returning clients. Prediction, everyone will leave. Reality, 4 renewals, 1 decline with kind words. Learning, value recap landed, timeline was clear. 1 improvement, add an FAQ about the new inclusions. Next ring, full list on Monday with the updated FAQ. A few common traps to avoid. Skipping the compare. If you don't match prediction to reality, avoidance still pays. You need the discrepancy visible. Debriefing only on big wins. The nervous system updates from many ordinary reps. Log the small ships. Harvesting 10 tweaks. 1 improvement per cycle keeps loops closed. Waiting until the end of the week. Debrief while the body remembers the spike and the relief. If a ship went poorly, debrief anyway, gently. Run the same 5 questions, then add 2 more. What protected me? What boundary will I add next time? Maybe it's office hours, a smaller ring, or an edit window. You're telling your body, we adapt. That restores agency after discomfort. Use a 3-2-1 cadence to keep this fast. 3 lines in the ledger, 2 minutes to compare prediction and reality, 1 next ring scheduled. Set a daily 10-minute window for debrief, same time, same place. Routine reduces friction. If you can't write, voice note the 5 questions and transcribe later. Here's a micro story from a developer who dreaded code reviews. Prediction, senior engineer will tear it apart. Reality, 3 nitpicks, 1 compliment on clarity. Learning, preempt 2 nitpicks with a comment. 1 improvement, add a short rationale at the top of complex diffs. Next ring, volunteer for a group review next Wednesday. 2 weeks later, his alarm score dropped from 8 to 4 before reviews, not because the critic vanished, but because the evidence pile grew. Track 2 metrics weekly on your ledger dashboard. Time to ship after alarm and prediction error, how far off the critic was. Watching those numbers shrink is dopamine for the rational brain. It also gives you a way to celebrate exposure independent of outcomes. 3 ships, average prediction error, high, we moved anyway. When a debrief reveals a theme, slow hooks, long sentences, unclear asks, turn it into a checklist item you run before the next ship. Hook in first 10 seconds, 3 bullets max, 1 ask. Checklists lower cognitive load and shrink alarms. Last move, share 1 debrief line with a trusted person weekly. Prediction, X reality, Y next ring, Z externalizing evidence multiplies its power. Shame thrives in secrecy, progress loves witness. Remember, the critic learns from what you log, not what you intend. Debrief is you teaching it new math. Alarms ring, we move, we live, we learn, we climb. Real-world scenarios, dialogue walkthroughs. Creator scenario, you've got a 5-minute video nearly done, but your thumb hovers over publish. Critic, this will flop, everyone will see you're amateur. You, thanks for trying to keep me safe. Actual risk. Critic translated, low engagement will feel like rejection. You, safety ask noted, get signal in private. Root, trusted circle first. Design the rung, export a 60-second clip, send to 3 peers with 1 question, where did you feel lost in the first 20 seconds? Safe send, breath, timer, press, walk away, log it. Debrief next morning, prediction, they'll be polite. Reality, 2 specific notes, 1 strong line to move up. 1 improvement, then schedule the full video for your small community with a caption. For new editors, what's 1 step you de-change? A day later, public post with that tweak. Ring shipping turns flop into learned, then launched. Career scenario. You want to ask for a raise. Alarm lights your chest. Critic, they'll think you're entitled. You, actual risk. Critic translated. Status hit if this lands as demand. You, safety ask accepted. Present value clearly and invite a conversation. Design, private ring, draft a one-page value recap with 3 measurable outcomes and a proposed range. Trusted ring, 2 colleagues sanity check language, 1 mentor pressure tests numbers. Delivery, schedule a meeting titled Role Scope and Impact. Open with the recap then. Based on impact and market, I'd like to discuss aligning compensation. Safe, send ritual before you walk in, 24-hour rule after. Debrief, prediction, they'll shut it down. Reality, request for HR review and timing. 1 improvement, add a brief market benchmark next time. Next ring, follow-up email summarizing the discussion and agreed next step. Social scenario, you want to share a nuanced opinion that runs counter to your group's current take. Critic, you'll get piled on. You, actual risk. Critic translated, wrong audience or tone could trigger defensiveness. You, safety ask heard, aim accurately and frame intent. Design, trusted circle, draft 3 bullets. Position, example, nuance, DM 2 thoughtful friends. Is there phrasing that invites misunderstanding? Delivery, small public post in a values-aligned forum first with a curious prompt. I'm testing this idea, what am I missing? 24 hours later, broad public with 2 clarifications added and a clear ask. If you disagree, what data would change your mind? Debrief, prediction, hostility, reality, mixed but thoughtful replies, 1 improvement, lead with shared goal. Next ring, long-form version next week. Money scenario, you need to raise your freelance rate. Critic, clients will leave. You, actual risk. Critic translated, loss of belonging if people feel blindsided. You, safety ask accepted, communicate value and give options. Design, private, practice saying the number out loud, trusted, mentor reviews your email template. Delivery, small public send to 5 long-term clients first with a value recap. What's new, the new rate starting next month and an early renewal offer at current rate for 2 weeks. Log responses, apply 1 improvement to the template. Broad public, roll out to the full list with a short FAQ and clear boundaries, office hours, response windows. Debrief, prediction, mass exits, reality, most renewals, a few declines with goodwill, 1 improvement, add a case study link next time. Next ring, update your site rates on a set date. Let's do 1 composite to show the cadence end to end. A product designer wants to share a risky concept. Detection, dread spike before posting in the company Slack. Dialogue, thanks for trying to keep me safe. Actual risk, critic translated, public rejection from senior engineers. Boundary, you signal I steer. Design, private record a 45-second loom, trusted send to 2 engineers and 1 PM with 1 question, where does the logic break? Delivery, breath, timer, press, walk, log. Feedback highlights a dependency, 1 iteration. Small public post in the feature channel framed as a draft with the dependency called out. Debrief, prediction, they'll think I'm naive, reality, productive thread and 2 volunteers. Next ring, broader share in the product review. A few friction moments and how the dialogue shifts. You get silence from your trusted circle. Critic, C, no one cares. You, actual risk. Critic translated, alone equals unsafe. Root, send a quick nudge with a 2-line summary and extend the deadline 1 day, then proceed to small public on schedule. Or you get 1 cutting comment. Critic, told you humiliation. You, we have a sting, we're safe. 1 repair, mute the thread, write down the useful part, discard tone, and debrief tomorrow. Notice the recurring pattern. Alarm, translation, 1 protective step, 1 visible step, a clock, then compare prediction to reality and schedule the next rung. The content changes, the choreography doesn't. That's how you make shipping feel familiar, and familiarity is what calms the body more than pep talks ever will. Advanced Technique 1, the 2-minute exposure protocol. Sometimes the critic is too loud for ladders and careful design. That's when we switch to a pattern interrupt, a tiny, clocked exposure that steals momentum back. The 2-minute exposure protocol is exactly that. Prep and ship a tiny slice in 2 minutes or less. It's not a stunt, it's a nervous system reset that proves I can move while afraid. Here's the why. When dread spikes, your amygdala hijacks attention and rumination becomes the default. Long plans feel impossible, short clocks feel doable. 2 minutes is small enough to start and big enough to count. You're not building a masterpiece. You're creating a visible rep that breaks the freeze. Rules are simple. 2 minutes total, no second drafts. Utility over polish, aim for useful and honest, not clever. One audience ring only, trusted or small public by default. One ask, shape feedback with a single question. Log the rep, exposure, ring, prediction versus reality. Use cases, perfection loops, doom scroll inertia, high dread spikes right before send, decision paralysis, or I only have 5 minutes. This protocol turns wasted minutes into reps. Let me give you 3 formats you can pick in the moment. Format A, microclip. Record a 30-45 second voice note or video showing one beat, open, teach one move, ask one question. Caption template. Draft thought for audience. What's one part that's unclear? Send to your trusted circle. Timer ends, you press. Format B, one-take text. Write 3 bullet points, problem, move, next step. No formatting, no links. Post in a niche space or DM to 2 peers. Ask, what doesn't land? Press at 2 minutes. Format C, snapshot share. Take a screenshot of a rough mock, first paragraph, or whiteboard. Circle one area. Caption, rough V1, where would you cut? Ship to a private channel. Safety tweaks when intensity is high. Choose an opt-in space, labeled draft, add a reversible element, edit window, delete aloud, and set a short comment window. You're telling your body, visible, bounded, reversible. Run it with me now. Pick a task you've been circling. Choose a format, set a timer for 2 minutes. At start, exhale once, write or record the slice, end with your one ask, then press immediately. Stand up. Log 2 min reps, slice, trusted ring, predicted X, actual Y. That's it. The win is the ship. Common snags and fixes. You freeze mid-record. Say, starting messy, keep going. Silence for a beat is fine, the clock is your friend. You run long. At 140, wrap with your ask and press. Constraints build skill faster than rambling ever will. You feel silly, name it, this is a rep. Skill accrues from frequency, not ceremony. A few examples so you can hear the texture. Creator stuck on a tutorial. Prediction, it'll be boring. Action, 40-second tip to close community. Where did you get lost in the first 10 seconds? 3 replies, 1 tweak, confidence up. Manager stalling on a team nudge. Prediction, they'll ignore it. Action, 3-line post. Problem, 1 behavior for this week, 1 emoji for acknowledgement. Half the team responds, you learn who needs 1. Freelancer avoiding outreach. Prediction, I'll annoy them. Action, 2-sentence check-in to a past client, a small win they'd care about and 1 specific way you can help. 1 reply becomes a scoping call. Engineer dreading a code review. Prediction, senior will shred it. Action, paste a 12-line snippet with 1 question, is this guardrail sufficient? You get a precise answer instead of a story. Track the only metric that matters here, reps per week. Aim for 5 2-minute exposures across any mix of rings. As reps accumulate, dread drops from a 7 to a 4 before you even set the timer. That's your nervous system learning, short, visible, safe. A quick optimization once you've done 5. Pre-build a 2-minute menu note with 3 microclip prompts, 3 one-take text frames, and 3 snapshot captions. Keep it pinned. Decision friction vanishes when options are ready. If you want a tiny escalation, stack 2 reps back-to-back, 1 trusted, 1 small public, or run a 3x2 sprint, 3 days, 2 reps per day. Keep stakes low, volume is the teacher. Remember, this protocol isn't a replacement for deliberate design. It's a breaker switch. When the system is jammed, 2 minutes of visible motion unlocks the next rung. Press, log, breathe, then go back to the ladder. Advanced technique 2. Externalize the critic, chair, name, contract. When the voice is loud, get it out of your head and into a seat. Externalizing turns a foggy, everywhere voice into a single character you can work with. Here's the quick setup. Grab a literal chair or imagine one across from you. That's the critic's chair, its place, not your whole room. Sit down, feet flat, 1 exhale. We're going to give it form, a name, and a contract so it stops freelancing your life. First shape, Ask, if this voice had a body, what would it look like? Don't romanticize it, go fast. Maybe it's a jumpy hall monitor with a clipboard, an anxious aunt with a weather app, or a medieval town crier ringing doom. What matters is specificity. Vague voices feel absolute. Characters can be negotiated with. Second name, pick something slightly playful to drop intensity without disrespecting the signal. Safety Sam, Miss What If, Captain Overprepare, Sir Doom. You're not mocking, you're shrinking the aura. The line you'll use is simple. Thanks name, tell me what you're worried about. Humor opens the window, respect keeps the air moving. Third, contract. The critic has a role, hazard signaler, not driver, not scriptwriter, not brand manager. Speak it out loud. Your job is to flag risk. My job is to choose the route. Then add 3 clauses. Office hours. You can brief me at 5 p.m. If you show up earlier, I'll jot your note and return later. Scope, you flag real risks. No character attacks, no time travel, no mind reading. Escalation. If intensity goes over 7, we step 1 ring inward, not off the ladder. Now run a 2-minute live meeting. Stand, point to the chair, and say, all right, name, you've got 60 seconds. What's the actual risk today? Let it talk. When it jabs, you'll embarrass yourself. They'll think you're greedy. This is career suicide. Translate to a safety ask in 1 sentence and write it down. Then close. Noted, you signal I steer. We'll route with a smaller ring and 1 ask. Meeting adjourned. The pomp matters. Ritual turns vague fear into procedural input. Let me give you 4 quick examples so you can hear the texture. Creator, Miss What If says, people will clown the cut. Translation, test flow privately first. Contracted route, export a 45-second teaser to 2 editors, 1 question, then schedule the post. Manager, Captain Overprepare says, stakeholders will shoot this down. Translation, line up proof. Route, 2 mini pilots, present with options and a cancel anytime line. Founder, Sir Doom says, launch will drown you in support. Translation, define limits. Route, post a public roadmap, batch replies twice a week, freeze new features after 20 requests. Freelancer, Safety Sam says, ask for more and they'll leave. Translation, make the value visible. Route, send a value recap, the new rate, and early renewal window. If the voice breaks contract, character attacks, future catastrophes call it. Out of scope. Flag risks, not identities. If it keeps yelling, point to the office hours sticky and put the sentence there. This simple boundary stops you from debating psychology when you need to ship. A few upgrades once you've run 5 meetings. Make a 1-page critic dossier. Top left, sketch or 3 words that capture the persona. Top right, its 3 best signals, ask for proof, clarify audience, set a deadline. Bottom left, its 3 common violations, mind reading, global judgments, all or nothing stakes. Bottom right, your 3 standard routes, step 1 ring inward, 2-minute protocol or success ceiling. Keep the sheet near your desk. Under adrenaline, you won't invent, you'll reference. Add a bell. If intensity spikes mid-task, tap the desk once and say, chair. Physically turning your head to the chair is a pattern interrupt. You're telling your body, that voice goes there. Then run a 30-second mini brief. 1 risk, 1 ask. Back to work. Create a critic inbox. A tiny notepad or note on your phone titled 5 p.m. brief. When thoughts loop, capture exactly 1 sentence, no analysis, and return to the ladder. At 5, you triage, real risk becomes design, noise gets thanked and archived. You're proving to yourself you won't ignore safety, you'll schedule it. If you work on a team, run a shared version. In a pre-mortem, name the team critic, Aunt Overprepare, and list her valid signals for this launch. Agree on the contract. She flags risks, the team routes. This normalizes hazard detection without letting fear run the roadmap. Edge cases. If the critic morphs into a chorus, multiple voices, pick 1 chair per domain, craft, reputation, capacity. Brief them in order with a 2-minute cap total. If shame spikes too hot to speak, write the script. Thanks, name. The risk you're flagging is X. We'll handle it by route. You signal, I steer. Writing buys breath. 1 last micro story. A researcher stalled on submitting a paper. Her critic, Professor Eyeroll, kept saying, the reviewers will eat you alive. We seated him, named the actual risk, methods clarity and contracted scope. Flag method risks only. Route, send to a trusted stats friend with 1 question, where is ambiguity? She fixed 2 sentences, submitted, and later received a revise and resubmit. Not a fairy tale, a functional system. Externalizing didn't erase doubt. It contained it, honored the true signal, and got her across the line. That's the job. The ladder of visibility, mental model and metrics. Here's the mental model that keeps everything sane. 4 rings: private, trusted circle, small public, broad public. You climb, you don't leap. Your ceiling is next ring, never everywhere. Now add a tiny dashboard so progress is visible. Reps per ring, ships this week in each ring. Time to ship, minutes from alarm to press. Prediction gap, what the critic forecast versus what happened. Rules that keep it working. No skipping rings under spike. Schedule ring expansions weekly. 1 ask per ship, 1 improvement per debrief. Make it visual, a simple grid. Watch boxes fill. Familiarity grows, alarms shrink. Common pitfalls and how to avoid them. Let's tighten the bolts. There are 5 traps that quietly undo everything we've built. If you catch them early, you'll keep momentum without burning extra energy. Trap 1, treating the critic like an enemy. When you fight it, you feed it. The volume rises, you burn willpower, and shipping turns into a debate club. The fix, stay in the contract. You signal, I steer. Thank it for the hazard, translate the jab into a safety ask, and route. If you hear yourself saying, shut up or go away, pause hands, exhale, say, alarm, and run the opener again. You're not trying to win an argument, you're moving a body through a doorway. Trap 2, over designing safety. This is the perfectionist's new costume. You stack pilots on pilots, expand optics, and build 4 layers of approval. It looks smart. It's another stall. The fix, ring discipline and 1 reviewer per ring. Pick your rung, choose 1 feedback channel, cap your ask at 1 question, and put a ship time on the calendar before you solicit any input. If your plan has more than 2 steps between now and a visible ship, you're padding. Tighten scope until you can ship today. Trap 3, skipping debriefs because you already know. Without compare and contrast, your nervous system keeps believing the horror trailer. You'll feel like you're moving but never accumulate evidence. The fix, the 3-2-1 cadence, 3 ledger lines, 2 minutes to match prediction to reality, 1 next ring scheduled. Do it while the sensation is still in your body. If time is tight, voice note the 5 questions and transcribe later. Finished ships without debriefs are unfinished reps. Trap 4, shipping to the wrong ring. Too small and you hide, too big and you overwhelm your system and retreat. Both break trust. The fix, use your spike score and the ladder rules. Above a 7, step 1 ring inward with a smaller slice and a reversible step. 4 to 6, stay put and narrow scope. Below 4, climb a ring. Write your chosen ring at the top of your slice before you start. That tiny declaration prevents last-minute leaps masquerading as courage. Trap 5, moving goalposts mid-run. Compliments arrive and you inflate scope, nerves spike and you shrink the ambition itself. Either way, you start over instead of finishing. The fix, lock scope and constraints in writing, 80% rule, 1 iteration, then protect them during delivery. Improvements go to V2 after ship, not before. If you catch yourself adding just 1 more pass, say, that's V2, and press. Your future self will thank you. A few micro fixes for frequent friction. If your safe send ritual becomes performative, long meditations, 10 breaths, cut it back to 3 exhales, 2-minute timer, press. Rituals work because they're short and consistent, not dramatic. If feedback floods you, switch to opt-in channels and a single ask. Looking for one thing, where did you feel lost? Then sort into keep, tweak, park. 1 improvement only. If silence spooks you, pre-agree with your trusted circle on response windows or add a nudge template you can send once. No response is also data. Proceed to the next ring on schedule. If shame spikes after a rough reply, run the repair line out loud. We were visible and safe. We can recover. Then add 1 boundary to prevent recurrence, edit window, clearer audience, or a sandbox link. If you stall because the day got messy, run the 2-minute protocol to protect the streak. 1 micro clip, 1 ask, trusted ring. Log it. Done. Team pitfalls look similar. Group critic named will get blamed. The fix, a team contract. Pre-mortem the real risks, assign owners, and agree to route via small pilots and cancel anytime lines. Over designing governance, cap reviewers per ring and time box decisions. We decide by Thursday, default is version 1. Watch for 2 subtle identity traps. First, the "I'm just not a shipper" story. That's a label, not a law. The fix: count reps, not identity. Ship tiny daily and let the ledger change the story. Second, the "once I'm confident, I'll be consistent" story. Confidence follows reps. The fix: show up small often. Ladders make confidence boring. Quick checklist to keep near your desk. Contract said out loud today: yes, no. Ring chosen and written: yes, no. One ask, one reviewer, one iteration: yes, no. Safe send ritual done: yes, no. Debrief 3-2-1 scheduled: yes, no. Finally, protect your attention. Most pitfalls are just unguarded context switches. Before delivery, close tabs, set a 2-minute timer, and move your cursor to a neutral screen after pressing. During debrief, mute channels for 5 minutes. If the critic tries to hijack with newsfeed bait, point to the chair and the 5 p.m. brief. You're not ignoring it, you're sequencing it. Remember, the goal isn't a flawless run. It's a consistent loop: detect, dialogue, design, deliver, debrief. When traps appear, and they will, you won't moralize them. You'll notice, name, and root. That's how you stay in motion without grinding your nervous system into dust. Rapid recap in your first 24 hours. Let's lock this in fast. You've learned a simple loop: detect, dialogue, design, deliver, debrief, then climb the next ring. Detection is your early warning: body tells, thought tells, context tells. Dialogue turns the critic into a clumsy bodyguard. Thanks for trying to keep me safe. What's the actual risk? Translate the jab into a safety ask, set the boundary. You signal, I steer, and choose the route. Design shrinks exposure, not ambition. Pick the ring, pick 2 tactics, apply the 80% rule in 1 iteration. Delivery runs the ladder with safe send rituals, 1-line captions, and the 24-hour rule. Debrief rewires the system with 5 quick questions and a win ledger. And the ladder of visibility keeps it sane. Private right arrow, trusted right arrow, small public right arrow, broad public. Now here's your first 24 hours, step by step. First, pick 1 task with exposure. The easiest way: scan today's list and circle anything that publishes, requests, presents, leads, asks, or charges. If you're stuck, choose one, post a micro tip, ask for feedback on a draft, propose a tiny pilot, or message one past client. 1 task, not 10. Second, mark its current ring. Say it out loud: this is at trusted circle, or this is at small public. If your spike is a 7 or higher, step 1, ring inward and narrow the slice. If it's a 4 to 6, keep the ring and narrow the scope. If it's a 3 or less, climb a ring. Third, run the 3-step reframe once to clear the noise. Opener: thanks for trying to keep me safe. What's the actual risk? Translate: jab right arrow, safety ask. Boundary: you signal, I steer. Route: we'll do protective step now, then visible step by time. Speak it, don't just think it. Fourth, design a safe-to-ship path in 60 seconds. Pick 2 tactics: smaller batch plus friend review, or time box plus opt-in audience, or pilot group plus 1 ask. Apply the constraints: 80% useful and honest, then exactly 1 iteration before shipping to the next ring. Write your single feedback question. Fifth, deliver with micro-exposure. Use the safe send ritual: 3 long exhales, 2-minute timer, press, walk away, log it. Script your 1-line caption before you press: what it is, for whom, what to do next, and ask for 1 thing only. Then honor the 24-hour rule. No live edits, no real-time debates. Let reality arrive. Sixth, debrief in 2 minutes. The 5 questions: what did the critic predict? What actually happened? What did I learn? What's 1 improvement? Which ring is next and when? Put 1 line in your win ledger: date, ring shipped, prediction versus reality, next ring. Schedule that next ring now, not sometime. Seventh, protect momentum with a 2-minute exposure protocol if anything jams. Timer on: 1 microclip or 3 bullets or 1 snapshot, 1 ask, 1 ring, press, log. The goal is not brilliance, it's visible motion that proves, I can move while afraid. Here's a simple 24-hour plan you can copy. Morning, 10 minutes, pre-label the day. Pick 1 exposure task, write alarm likely at moment. Body QL watch, X, default response, Y, choose the ring, draft the 1-line caption and 1 ask. Midday, 15-20 minutes, design and deliver. Pick 2 tactics, apply the 80% 1 iteration constraint. Safe send, exhale, timer, press, walk, log. Afternoon, 5 minutes. If you feel stuck or spiky, run 1 2-minute exposure to a trusted ring. Log it. Evening, 10 minutes. Debrief 3-2-1. 3 ledger lines, 2 minutes prediction versus reality, 1 next ring scheduled. Then say out loud, "We were visible and safe. We can recover." Close the day. One more nudge, count reps, not identity. Your job for 24 hours is to collect 1 ring ship and 1 debrief line. That's it. If life goes sideways, protect the streak with a 2-minute rep. If feedback floods you, sort into keep tweak park and extract exactly 1 improvement. If silence scares you, nudge once and proceed on schedule. You're teaching your system that visibility can be rhythmic, reversible, and safe enough to repeat. Tomorrow morning, open your ledger, read yesterday's prediction versus reality, and climb 1 ring. Familiarity is what calms alarms. Make shipping familiar. If you remember nothing else, remember this. Your inner critic isn't truth. It's a visibility alarm, and you can work with it. Detect, dialogue, design, deliver, debrief, and climb 1 ring at a time. If this helped, subscribe for weekly tools that turn self-doubt into momentum. Next, watch the advanced exposure calendar and script video to lock your ladder into your week. Close this app, run a 2-minute exposure right now, and log it. Your next rep is the only one that matters.